Point 7 Triple H WWE storylines that dragged on too long. There have been plenty of improvements when it comes to Triple H's rule over WWE creative, leading the line as the chief content officer. But it must be said that there are certain tropes that have hampered him and his booking. One of those is dragging out storylines for way too long, far longer than necessary. At times, it has felt like Triple H either doesn't know how to end a feud, or else doesn't like planning ahead to provide new feuds and directions for wrestlers after an existing rivalry comes to an end. The following storylines went on way past their expiration, ultimately worsening and receiving negative reviews from the audience. Finn Balor vs. Damian Priest. Fans yawned when this feud kept on going. Damian Priest was kicked out of the Judgment Day. 4 months, Priest and Balor were at each other's throats. When it felt like this Raw feud was done, it continued. At SummerSlam 2024, Finn Balor cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship and proceeded to boot him out of the Judgment Day faction. This led to a face turn for Priest as he sought revenge on Balor and those who wronged him. At first, the storyline was a decent one, also involving the likes of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, but it then got repetitive and failed to develop despite it going on for a while. Priest finally defeated Balor at Bad Blood 2024, turning his focus back to the world title, only for Balor to once again cost Priest the title against Gunther at Survivor Series. It wasn't until January 2025 that they finally had their blow-off match. Rhea Ripley vs. Liv Morgan. Ripley and Morgan both lost momentum due to this storyline. Morgan attacked Ripley after WrestleMania 40 and injured her. Morgan won Ripley's vacated title and stole Dominik Mysterio. Ripley and Morgan feuded for nearly a year. At first, Liv Morgan's heel run in which she injured Rhea Ripley, won the women's world title, and seduced Dominik Mysterio, was fantastic, and it felt like a women's feud in WWE finally had depth, heat, and proper storytelling. Until it didn't. Triple H didn't know when to end this feud, as Morgan and Ripley continued to battle for the rest of 2024 and even into 2025, dragging it out to the point where fans got sick and tired of it, robbing both of momentum. Their chemistry in the ring didn't exactly shine too well either, making it even more questionable why this went on for so long. The Bloodline saga. WWE's best storyline became a parody of itself. Between 2020 and 2024, the Bloodline saga was top tier. This storyline featured twists, turns, and major moments. WWE dragged SmackDown's biggest feud on for too long, and it lost its way. A key to a perfect storyline, regardless of how long it is knowing when to end it. The issue with many TV shows is that they get dragged on for too long due to their success, but ultimately floundering. The Bloodline storyline was the most must-see thing in WWE for years, featuring a heel Roman Reigns character that was fantastic, in addition to many moving pieces involving the likes of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Championship and ending Reigns' lengthy run with the gold should have been where it ended, but instead WWE tried to make Solo Sikoa the new Roman Reigns, to a much lesser effect. Every chapter of the Bloodline saga over the last year has felt bland and boring, proving why it should have ended sooner. Chad Gable vs. Alpha Academy. Gable's heel turn lost steam. Chad Gable's initial heel turn was impactful. Gable began mistreating his Alpha Academy teammates. The storyline lost focus and direction the longer it went on. Chad Gable turning heel and abusing his Alpha Academy faction made for some great TV, with WWE building up Otis standing up against Gable. However, WWE kept teasing and teasing this until they missed the mark, and in the aftermath there was no real payoff. This was due to Gable and his new team of American-made feuding with the Wyatt Six instead. WWE has tried to return to the Alpha Academy rivalry here and there, but at this point the whole feud and story feels tired. Edge formed the group on Raw. Judgment Day turned on Edge, leading to a long story. It finally culminated at WrestleMania 39. Edge recruited the likes of Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest into the Judgment Day, but with Finn Balor's arrival, the group turned on Edge and took him out. Edge battled with Balor and Priest in a variety of matches until he was finally put on the shelf for several months. Edge eventually returned months later to continue the storyline at both Elimination Chamber and then finally WrestleMania 39, where this storyline finally came to its conclusion as Edge beat Balor inside Hell in a Cell. Seth Rollins vs. Finn Balor. Rollins' first world title feud shouldn't have been this long. Balor and Rollins have strong chemistry. Their matches were always good. Balor failing to win made the length of this feud meaningless. After winning the World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins feuded with Finn Balor and the Judgment Day for months. Rollins defeated Balor at Money in the Bank, but Triple H made the call to continue the feud until SummerSlam. With the length of the story, the logical conclusion felt like it would lead to Balor winning. The women's division is better with Sky on top, and that should not change just yet. There are still several feuds and matches that fans want to see from her reign, especially since things have been slow on the defenses front since WrestleMania. Sky vs. Asuka, Sky vs. Stephanie Vaquer, and Sky vs. Becky Lynch are all potential avenues that WWE have yet to explore when it comes to the championship. Abandoning what is the hottest run of her career thus far for yet another Ripley reign could be damaging for her at this point. Fans may reject a Rhea Ripley victory. Ripley shouldn't win the world title again yet. There have been some reservations about Ripley in the title scene. She should be in some more non-title feuds on Raw. Ripley needs a character change before a world title push. Another big reason why WWE must make the bold decision of Sky retaining is to ensure that fans do not turn on Rhea Ripley. The online sentiment has certainly been changing in recent months, with some tiring of the fact that Ripley is constantly being featured in the world title picture, taking spots from others. At this present moment in time, Ripley is an established name and doesn't need the championship to succeed, and she should instead be used to elevate those elsewhere in the division with non-title programs and feuds. Additionally, Ripley's babyface character has lacked depth in 2025, and her current iteration is not ready to be champion again. She needs a storyline or two that can bring the best out of her, nail down a definitive persona, and then build her back up to title contention down the line. Evolution needs to be Io Sky's night, not Rhea Ripley's. However, SummerSlam had the exact same finish at Money in the Bank, with Damian Priest distracting Balor and causing a defeat. If WWE was just going to do the same thing twice, what was the point of extending the story an extra month or two? Cody Rhodes vs. Shinsuke Nakamura. A pointless trilogy of matches. Rhodes vs. Nakamura was a filler feud. Rhodes went 3-0 over his rival. It made Nakamura's character look weak. With Cody Rhodes having nothing to do in the lead-up to the Royal Rumble, Shinsuke Nakamura took aim at WWE's top babyface. No one was under any illusion that Nakamura had a chance of winning, which is why a trilogy of matches was a ridiculous booking call from Triple H. Rhodes defeated Nakamura 3 times, as Nakamura kept coming back for more after each loss, dragging it out pointlessly. 8 dramatic changes to WWE since John Cena's last match with CM Punk 12 years ago. John Cena and CM Punk are scheduled to face off one last time at WWE Night of Champions 2025, which comes 12 years after their final one-on-one clash together, which took place on the February 25th episode of Monday Night Raw in 2013. This match was to determine the main event for WrestleMania 29 and the man who would challenge The Rock for the WWE Championship. In the 12 years since this match, WWE is a very different place to what it was back then. We will take a look at some of the most notable and dramatic changes experienced in WWE since their last bout together. The top stars in WWE have changed. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and more are at the top. A lot can change in terms of personnel in 12 years. WWE's top stars at the time were Cena, Lesnar, Undertaker, Punk, Orton, Sheamus, etc. A new breed of stars gives WWE a changed feeling. The top of the card in WWE is ever-changing, but there have certainly been some dramatic alterations to the main event scene since the last time Cena and Punk did battle. Of course, 2025 does still see these two names battling it out at the top, but along with them come the likes of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, both of whom were still new names in the Shield. Additionally, WWE has established names like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens and others who weren't even in WWE yet. Additionally, Cody Rhodes is now very much the face of WWE, whereas he was struggling in the mid-card 12 years ago. In-ring work is now more important. Back in 2013, in-ring quality was an afterthought. Punk vs. Cena was a rare TV match that got time. Overall, matches of WWE programming were rushed and unimportant. Today, there is more of a focus than ever on quality between the ropes. If we take a look at the episode of Raw in which Punk and Cena wrestled, some of the matches included Randy Orton beating Cesaro in just 3 minutes, R-Truth defeating Cody Rhodes in 2 minutes, and bland clash between Mark Henry and Great Khali, and some other uninspiring clashes too. WWE's approach to quality in-ring work is so much more different today, with matches given more time, attention, and the need to actually deliver. Especially when it comes to weekly TV, this has been a dramatic change in WWE's presentation. The Divas division is dead and buried. There is no more Divas division. Tuesday.